When I was approached to review the X by Kygo Xellence, the True Wireless earbuds, I was very much intrigued to see how the DJ/producer would enter the True Wireless market. Now these True Wireless can be found for around £170 in the UK and around €200. It also is available in the US for around $239. Now, if you're interested in purchasing it, the links in the description below will take you to the appropriate places. Also down there you'll find alternatives that you might want to consider, and I'll be explaining why throughout this review. Furthermore, there is a link to my Instagram, so yes, it's a shameless plug, but if you do have that social media platform, very much appreciate a follow. It's at TotallyDubbed. And if you're interested in all electric or hybrid news or reviews, do check out Totally EV. Your support would be greatly appreciated. So first off, let's talk about what you get in this nicely designed box. Well, you've got the earphones themselves, which come in their charging case, and we'll talk about this in just a bit. You've got not manuals, actually the manuals are online, but the limited warranty information, and you've got a bunch of different silicone earbuds and a USB type C to USB type A cable, which you can see I haven't even used. Now the case itself is of a good dimension. It's pretty portable, and you can see it's got rounded edges, meaning that it's not going to dig holes into your jeans or your pockets. There's a USB type C port over here. It takes around 2 hours to charge to full. Now the earbuds themselves, in terms of total package including the case, gives you around 30 hours. It's 10 hours per charge with the earbuds themselves. However, if you were to disable the LEDs and also enable ANC, then this figure will drop to around 8 hours per charge, which is actually pretty good given some of its competitors. Now the earbuds plug in, as you can see over here, magnetically to the case, and the case has got a nice little lid design. You can see LEDs pop up over here to show you the remaining charge of the case itself. There's no wireless charging as far as I'm aware. Now in terms of the earphones themselves, they've got a interesting design. You can see that the size of the earbuds might not be as small or as concise as some of its competitors. As a result, the earbuds do stick out just a little bit, so they do attract a little bit of wind noise if you're going to be taking these on a cycle, and they're not exactly the most sturdy earphones, whereby if you're going to be jogging or let's say doing some sort of physical activity, you might find with a little bit of sweat that these will start popping off. Of course, your mileage may vary depending on your ear canal and in terms of the shape of your ear, but at least with my big ears, which normally are pretty good at keeping earphones within the ear, these earphones weren't ones that I felt comfortable that I could go out on a, let's say, morning jog, as if I run anyway, but anyway, that's a separate thing. Now in terms of the design of the earphones, they look pretty nice. I think what they've done over here is aligning it with this kind of X type of logo, and you've got an X over here through the touch sensitive pads. So yes, in terms of controlling these earbuds, they have touch sensitive pads. Double tap is to play and pause. If you tap on one side, let's say the right side, I think that decreases the volume, and tap on the left side, it increases the volume. It could be vice versa, I can't quite remember. And then in terms of enabling, let's say, a voice assistant, you would hold down this multifunctional button. Now, the multifunctional button is a physical button found on the earphones, and if you were to use them as well, aside from activating the voice assistant, you can see that they have this nice LED design. Now the LED design, as you saw, can be disabled if you don't like it, like myself, but if you do want to stand out from the crowd, then this is a nice way to do it, and it's pretty cool in my opinion. I think the fact that you can enable it or disable it by double clicking a button is well done, at least. Again, in my opinion, you might disagree. Let me know in the comments below what you make of it and if you would use this LED design. And now we get onto the app, and as you might be able to see, it says cannot find device, very much while it is already paired and connected to my phone. Now while the app did previously work, I can say that when I was able to connect up to the app, I had no issues. However, it is often found to be a little bit buggy, and as you can see right now, can be a little bit infuriating. Now I can't really see most people wanting to go in through the app often, but nevertheless there's a bass boost option, there's a noise cancelling option. I'm not really sure if the camera's picking this up, but it's very faint. There's an ambient mode, an LED light, enable or disable. You can enable or disable the proximity center, and there's also the MIMI, as far as I'm aware, it's the audio personalization in order to create yourself your own personalized audio sound. The thing I would say, however, is that these earphones would have been really good to have an EQ option, whereby if you had a manual EQ rather than having to rely on a software essentially that does it for you, it would have been nice to have a manual EQ, so therefore you can tailor it a little bit to your likings via, let's say, visual indicators. And now we get on to performance, and first off I want to talk about recording quality or call quality. Now, everything you can hear right now is coming directly from the earbuds and being recorded via an app. What I will say is the actual audio quality in terms of my voice is actually pretty good. I have no complaints in terms of the mid to high frequencies. If anything, they're a little bit too accentuated. You can hear potentially that the bass tones are a little bit cut off, so therefore my voice doesn't sound as, well, growly, not even if my voice is that way, but something worth considering. By comparison, here are the Jabra Elite 75T among one of the better true wireless earbuds when it comes to call quality. You'll be able to hear the differences for yourselves, and I'll let you be the judges essentially as to which one you prefer in terms of calls. What I will just say is that in terms of dealing with ambient noise, the 75T do just a little bit of a better job in comparison to the Kygo earphones. Now, next up, we've got active noise cancellation. Now, these earphones do feature ANC, and it's actually quite nice to see. You can enable it or disable it depending on your preference, and you can also enable ambient mode. This is essentially a toggle rather than a kind of slider. You either have it enable or disable. You can also access this function via touching on the earbuds, and therefore you can also enable ambient mode in this respect, which is good if you want to, let's say, hear your surroundings quickly. Now, in terms of its ANC performance, it is okay. I would say it's actually up there in comparison to the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 2 and True Wireless 1, although that's not really a massive feat because those earphones, while they are more expensive, are completely lackluster in the ANC department. Truthfully, when I was comparing them to what I would deem of some of the better true wireless earbuds when it comes to ANC, and that's the Jabra Elite 75T, which now have that function, and also the Libratone Track Air Plus, which would, yes, enable you to cancel out the siren that you can hear in the background. So what I'm trying to say over here is these two earphones are just a little bit better in terms of ANC, namely when it comes to the mid-range / high-end frequencies. So, for example, when spoken speech is out there, so someone is speaking next to you, these earphones will cancel out just a bit better than the Kygo earphones. However, when it comes to the low-end tones, all of them are somewhat equivalent. I would say potentially the Kygos are just a little bit below its competitors, but truthfully the differences are minimal. So if you're going to be in airplane scenarios, then I don't think you'll have an issue with any of the earphones that I'm mentioning here. And now we get onto the most important part, the sound quality. Now, before jumping in, I should say in terms of Bluetooth codec, they support the aptX codec, which is great to see, and also AAC. So therefore, if you're both on Android or iPhone, you're going to be benefiting from the more higher quality codecs over the SBC codec. So now, breaking down in terms of the overall sound frequencies, it's worth bearing in mind that my setup was based on my own hearing profile. I did enable or disable it, but I did prefer my overall sound that I got from the hearing profile enabled. And furthermore, I left the bass boost option disabled because that really over-bloated bass all too much. Now, in terms of the audio quality that you get from these earphones, I will say that they're still bass-centric. Even if they were to disable that bass boost option, it is still very much centered towards that low-end tones. Therefore, you do get a pretty nice rumble at the low end in terms of the sub-bass frequencies, and as for the mid-bass, they're a little bit overpowering and a little bit wobbly, although very much present. As a result, the mids take a hit, they sound a little bit recessed and pushed back. I would say they're somewhat comparable to the Libratone Track Air Plus, which have a similar sort of recessed type of sound. The only difference is, however, is that these earphones, the Kygo earphones, have a somewhat odd sounding overall sound signature, which I'm going to touch upon in the soundstage segment. But what I'm trying to say over here is that the mids are nowhere near as open and forward as the Jabra 75T. So if you want better vocals and you want to hear your vocals, then the 75T would be a far better alternative. As for the highs, I think they're perfect in this domain. They extend really well, give you a nice little clarity at the top end, and there's nothing really to complain about here. They don't sound harsh either, no matter the volume that you crank it up to. Of course, your mileage may vary depending on the sensitivity of your ears. Now, in terms of the soundstage, I felt that this was a little bit of an odd one. While they do sound pretty wide and deep in comparison to its competitors, I will say that the way that it comes to portrayal of the overall sound is just a little bit odd. It's not quite on point in comparison to the 75T, and while it's not as close sounding as, let's say, the Libratone Track Air Plus, on the whole, these earphones just have a little bit of an odd sound. There's no other way that I can try and think of describing this to you guys other than saying that they just sound a little bit odd. Now, this came specifically apparent when I was listening to songs that had both vocals and a strong bass line. It felt like the earphones somewhat struggled to bring out the right sort of instruments at the foreground and take the other instruments to the background, if that makes sense. So as a result, the instrument separation is a little bit odd, but in terms of the width and depth that you get, it does sound a lot more airier than some of its competitors out there. Now, on the whole, in terms of the overall sound, it is good. It's not bad, even though its soundstage is a little bit odd sounding and its mids are recessed. It's actually not too bad at all. I am actually pleasantly surprised in this domain, and I would say that these earphones are pretty competent. So I've no issues whatsoever with the sound quality. The problem is that at their price tag, they're competing with earphones which sound better or are just a little bit more better equipped at dealing at the overall sound frequency and the overall sound presentation. At which point, and this kind of leads me on to my verdict, why would you consider these earphones when there are other on the market which are more ergonomic, provide better ANC, potentially even to your hearing profile, better sound quality, and just on the whole will probably just cost a little bit cheaper than these earphones. So as a result, I can't see myself recommending them. I think they're a good alternative, but are not the earphones that I would jump at and say, go ahead and buy these earphones, or even ones I would say it's worth considering because, well, its alternatives and cheaper competitors even offer just a better complete package. But that's just my thoughts and opinions about it. Let me know in the comments below what you make of these earphones, if you own them or have heard them or were thinking about getting them. I'd be intrigued to see where your head's at. And if you like this type of content, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to see more, and of course favourite and share, as it always helps the channel grow. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed, take care, and bye bye.